Hello, Capricorn, and welcome to my channel, Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, looking at your connection to the person that you are dealing with for May 2023. We're looking at all three sides of the connection. We've got your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it. We'll be using a different tarot deck for each side of the connection, the concept being that there are three sides to every story. So looking at your perception and version of the truth, their perception and version of the truth, and then the kind of higher level unbiased truth in the middle. I do encourage you to think outside of the box when it comes to these readings. This might not just be talking about a romantic connection. It could be talking about a friend, a family member, a coworker, anyone that you are dealing with that you might be feeling triggered by, or just in general, having issues with and feeling like there's maybe a lesson to be learned so that you don't have to experience those triggers so much anymore. Any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading with me is in the description box below. All right, Capricorn. On your side of this connection, you have Shadow with Talisman. And remember, we will be diving into a tarot deck as well, but this is just the overall energy that I've already gone ahead and pulled. This connection brings out your shadow. I feel like it pokes at you in a way that maybe you don't experience as much with other connections or haven't experienced in the past. Now, with this key card, because this is like a mythical key, that it like basically can unlock anything. And it's almost like, it's interesting because yes, this connection is very triggering. It brings out your shadow, but it also unlocks aspects of yourself that other connections haven't been able to either. So it feels like there's both kind of that positive, like, yes, it kind of, unlocks those aspects of you, causes you to have to kind of dig deep, but also triggers you, brings out your shadow side. That kind of pokes at the unhealed version of you, if you will. So we'll see what we're actually dealing with when we dive into tarot. But this person then has protection and knowledge. So this is their energy towards you. And this is interesting because I feel like this person, for some reason, is kind of in protection mode, in a place of kind of maybe withdrawing or putting up defenses or something like that. Now, this knowledge card, this connection is teaching them a lot. Now, whether or not they have learned those lessons yet, or if they're just kind of being, triggered into learning those lessons, I'm not quite sure. But I do see that they're kind of in this protecting themselves from you mode. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be from you. It could be that this person, doesn't really know how to give and receive love in a healthy way. So they, put up their defenses and kind of push people away, things of that, sort. But we'll see when we dive into tarot. Now, in between this connection, you have divine masculine with release. So the way that I see this is they are a reflection of the divine masculine within you. Now, this release card, it really does mean that there's some sort of a emotional or karmic release attached to this connection. We're going to need to get more before I can dive into that, because I feel like this is pretty specific in what it is that's being dealt with here. But let's go ahead and dive in, Capricorn, to your side of this connection. Capricorn side of the connection to the person they are dealing with Talisman and Shadow. Capricorn side of this connection, please. What does Capricorn need to know about their energy toward this connection? Oof, okay, where did that go? King of Cups in reverse. Let me get a little bit more here. Capricorn side of this connection, because ooh, okay. Capricorn, I don't really know. I mean, just right out of the gate, I don't know if this person treats you all that well. Now, I don't necessarily know if they mean to or not, but this can be kind of like my card of like emotional manipulation, kind of toying with emotions a little bit. And maybe that's what you feel like this connection is toying with your emotions, because again, it does feel like there's this, yes, it brings out your shadow, but then on the other side, like I said, it does unlock positive aspects about yourself as well. So it really feels like there's that like positive, negative aspect of this connection. Now, it could be one of those when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's like real bad. But there might be a little bit of looking at this connection through the lens of rose-colored glasses. Now, meaning you might be, I don't know if it's necessarily placing this person on a pedestal, or giving them like the benefit of the doubt to the extent where you're, you know, putting them ahead of you. I'm not sure yet. So let's bear with me here. This is Capricorn side of this connection. Capricorn side of this connection to the person that you're dealing with. Capricorn side. Ooh, these cards are smooth today. Capricorn side of the connection, please. Also, this is a very specific message. This is Capricorn side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Oh my goodness. There it is. This connection stresses you out. You have the Nine of Swords in reverse with the Eight of Swords here. You either fear or are allowing some sort of loss in this situation to really affect you. Now you're allowing it because it's not that you're doing anything wrong. But this connection pokes at limiting beliefs that you have about yourself and like just love in general. Like it doesn't even necessarily be romantic love, but just like love and relationships in general. It almost feels like this connection, that's what that key card is. It's like opening your perspective, but it's doing it through triggering you. Interesting. Opening your perspective, but through triggering you. And sometimes that's the way it has to go. Now, I've seen the King of Cups and the Queen of Cups now. You could be dealing with a water sign. Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. Capricorn's energy toward this person, you definitely do not have to be. Capricorn's energy toward this person, please. So it's like I just feel like it's got like a lot of good aspects just as much as it has negative aspects. I don't know, it's interesting. Capricorn side of this connection. Maybe it makes like the bad stuff worth it. The Sun in reverse. Eight of Swords in reverse. Huh, okay. So you aren't very happy in this right now. You aren't very happy in this, but I also don't feel like that means that you want to give up on it completely. You just aren't very happy with the connection itself right now. Now, I do feel like that's because, well, actually, I want to clarify that. I want to get more on that. I want to see where that's coming from. Let's clarify the Sun in reverse for Capricorn side of this connection. Sun in reverse for Capricorn side of the connection. Sun in reverse with the Eight of Swords in reverse. And then there's the High Priestess. And the King of Swords in reverse. I mean, this is another card of just like not being treated all that well. Now, something I did forget to mention in the beginning is that these energies can very well be swapped. So you can resonate more with the energy over here than over here. And if you're a cross watcher, then vice versa. But I just feel like you're kind of in like this, like, should I stay or should I go energy? Like, should I give this a chance? Should I stick around? Should I fight for this? Or should I walk away? Obviously, I'm not here to make that decision for you by any means, but I do want to try to help guide you in the way of making the decision that's best for you. Because I do feel like you're kind of in this energy of like, I don't really know what to do, because you're not unaware of the fact that you're not being treated well. Like, you're not blind to that. You're very aware of that. But I also feel like there might be a level of you seeing this person and this connection's potential, which is keeping you investing in it, even though it's not necessarily making you happy. Now, there is that aspect of like, no one can make us happy, right? People can add to our happiness and complement our happiness, but they certainly can't create our happiness, not sustainably for the long term. So I'm not saying that that's what you need to be looking for, but one thing my therapist once told me that like helped me a ton when it comes to connections is that if it's the 80-20 rule. It's like if 80% of the time things are good, 20% of the time things are not so good, it's a pretty good connection. Like 80% plus, 80% up. But then if 80% of the time things are not so good and 20% of the time they're good and you're wanting them to be good, or they're, sorry, 20% of the time they are good, 80% of the time they're not so good, and during that 80% of the time you are, wishing that they were better, things were better, then that's when you kind of have to evaluate and be like, is this connection actually making me happy now, or am I living for the hope of it improving? And you definitely don't want to live for the potential of someone, because that person doesn't exist. It's not real. Not a real person. All right, Capricorn side of this connection. But that's not to say that that's the right move for you right now. Capricorn side of the connection. Yeah, because you are. There's like, it's almost like you feel like you need to make a decision. But you're also kind of in this like I feel like you're very overwhelmed with this decision that you've decided not to make a decision at all. Like, it's just kind of like seeing where things go. And that's okay, Just make sure that you're not. So you have the Two of Swords in reverse, the Star in reverse, and the Hangman. You just want to make sure that you're not avoiding an inevitable decision, right? You want to make sure that you are waiting for all of the information to make the decision. That's why you have this person has protection and knowledge too, is maybe you still don't have all the knowledge and all of the information to make some sort of decision in this connection. Because yeah, I feel like there's this energy of like, should I stay or should I go? Like, what is going to be the right move for you and for maybe even them, All right, Capricorn side of the connection. Capricorn side of this connection. I just don't feel like this is very, like, you deserve better than this energy in any kind of connection, right? Now, obviously, sometimes connections go through rough patches, and maybe that's what this is. And maybe that's why we are in between, like, what to do, like, not knowing what to do. Capricorn side of the connection, please. Capricorn side of the connection, please. Oh my goodness, these cards are very specific today. Yeah, because there is a lot of love there. That's where this step. I mean, and I get that. It's like, so the Two of Cups, the Four of Swords in reverse. You have a lot of love for this person. You're just kind of burnt out. Like, you're burnt out of obviously dealing with this. You're just tired of kind of dealing with this energy. Now, at the same time, I feel like I don't necessarily feel like this connection is like hopeless, but I also don't want to provide a false sense of hope for someone who's been dealing with someone that hasn't changed for a year, 2 years, 3 years, or even a few months. Like, it doesn't need to be a long-term connection for you to know that you're not happy in it. But I do see you're fighting for this. You're fighting for this Two of Cups. It's really interesting because I feel like that's the thing, is it's like this person unlocks this level of like you being able to feel this like deep sense of love and compassion and care for this person, but then at the same time they trigger you. And that's typically how it goes. The deeper you feel for someone, the more intense you're going to feel when things aren't so good, because that intense connection does kind of keep you in it, fighting for the good, because the good does feel so good. Capricorn side of the connection. Ooh, okay. There's communication problems here. There's not a whole, I don't necessarily want to say this isn't. Capricorn, I don't know if you're being fully honest with this person about how you feel. In both a good and a bad way. Like, maybe right now is just kind of the time to hold back and observe and just kind of see where things go. But again, like I kind of mentioned, you don't want to get stuck and not making a decision for too long, because then you'll fall into complacency, right? And then at that point, you lose sight of reasons to change, or reasons to walk away, or reasons to choose yourself, whatever the case might be. But I do feel like I'm going to get more on this Page of Cups in reverse, because there's communication issues. Now, that doesn't mean that you guys don't speak. You can very well speak to each other, but maybe there's no communication. Page of Cups in reverse for Capricorn side of this connection. The Queen of Cups in reverse. Yeah, there it is. It's hard for you guys to communicate because the triggering is so intense. It almost feels like it's like so like it's almost something like maybe you try to communicate, but then someone hits a nerve and then it turns into you versus them instead of you guys kind of being on the same team, right? In any connection, any loving connection, you want to feel like you're on the same team as the person. You don't want to feel like it's a you versus them kind of thing. Now, when you're in connections that are intense and you're feeling triggered by them, a lot of times what happens is those triggers those triggers get more intense because the connection itself is intense, and that person maybe is more of a reflection of your shadow, so they kind of know how to poke at you a little bit more, things like that. But let's see what this person is dealing with. This is the person that Capricorn is dealing with side of this connection. What does Capricorn need to know about this person's energy? What does Capricorn need to know about this person's energy? Ooh. They're feeling hurt by this. But here's the thing. I feel like they're so focused on how they feel. So someone told me that they wish that I would read the cards before I start explaining the messages. I just want you guys to know that I try. It's just that they come through and I start talking. So I'll try to do my best to back up and read the cards. But you have Queen of Pentacles, Ten of Swords, and Four of Cups. So this person, they're obviously feeling very hurt by this connection, but it almost feels like they focus so much on how they feel that they're not really taking how you feel into account. And maybe that's where the trigger comes from, is you both kind of have this tendency to try to prove how the other person has hurt you, but there's no understanding of how you've hurt the other person, which is so common, in any kind of connection. That's where communication is different than speaking or arguing, because communication is understanding and being empathetic and listening and taking other people's feelings into account, which is a difficult skill to have. Now, you might know how to communicate. You can communicate all day long, but if the other person doesn't know how to communicate, then it's still not communicating, right? Because they're not able to listen and to understand kind of what you're saying. And that's the thing that I feel like they're so caught up on how they feel that they can't, it's like they're not able to kind of see it. Just it feels like a general lack of self-awareness, but it's okay. This person's energy toward Capricorn. There's the Judgment. Yeah, okay, so there's the King of Cups in reverse. We saw that Judgment here. And then you have the Five of Wands. This is really interesting because when I pre-shuffled these cards, the cards for in between this connection, these two came out. The Knight of Pentacles in reverse with the Five of Wands. And so there's definitely some sort of a theme here. Okay. It's possible for you guys to work through the conflict you have. But not until both parties are able to take accountability for their side. Because I feel like in this connection, there's a lot of blame going on. And that's easy to do, right? And I'm not saying one person is more off the hook than the other person, especially if like one cheated or things like, things happen to that extent. But I just feel like there's this, if you're wanting this connection to work, there's this need to, it's like learn how to work through conflict in a healthy manner, because I feel like this person is so focused on the conflict. Like all of their energy is going toward the conflict that exists in this connection. And it almost feels like that's just the way they see this connection at this point, is like they see it as a conflict. They only see it as the conflict that exists in it. And that's blocking out a lot of the love that obviously exists here between these two people. Now, oftentimes when a person does that, it's because it's like they don't know how to work through it. It's kind of that energy of like people who thrive in chaos. Like maybe this person is used to conflict in their relationships, and so that's just that's the only way that they know how to handle a relationship is through conflict. Like there's no honest open communication. There has to be like this big fight or this big argument or something like that in order for them to get their what they want to say out. Okay, this person's energy toward Capricorn. I didn't like that those just came out without setting the intention, so they will if they need to. Again, this person's energy toward Capricorn. There it is. See, they have this Two of Cups too. So they do have love for this connection. There's no doubt about that. But it almost feels like this is completely covered up by this Ten of Swords and this Five of Wands. Like it's like and not covered up in the sense that they don't feel it. I just feel like for some reason this person is so focused on this conflict. It's almost like, oh, they could be that kind of person that finds problems because they do, like that's how they push people away is they look for issues. Yeah. With this protection card because like I said they're in protection mode. So they feel this sense of hurt, possible betrayal, but it's interesting because I think you both feel similar about this connection, more similar about this connection than you realize. Like I feel like this connection is more mirrored than you realize, which would make sense if you have this divine masculine and release. Get more for this person's side of the connection because they have love for this connection. This person's energy toward Capricorn. There's that King of Cups in reverse. And look at that. That's crazy. I always like when that happens because you have the King of Cups in reverse right here and the Nine of Swords in reverse. And those two cards came out here. And then you have the Emperor in reverse. See, that's the thing. This connection makes this person feel very out of control. So when they tap into this King of Cups in reverse energy, it's not necessarily because they're a bad person. It's because they're protecting themselves. Now, that is not saying that you need to have so much empathy because remember, unconditional love and understanding is not unconditional tolerance. So you can understand and love someone for the way that they treat you, regardless of how they treat you without continuing to put up with it, right? So I'm not sitting here saying, oh, you have some empathy for this person. Like they're just struggling to accept love. Like that's not what I'm saying. I mean, they are. And that is why they push you away and why they maybe create conflict or even like maybe it's like to you something isn't that big of a deal, but they make it a big deal. And they create and it almost feels like to you, you're like, I don't see why this is such a big deal. But to them, it's not. It's just like they don't know how to thrive in a connection without there being chaos and argument and conflict. So it's not necessarily that I feel like because there is love here. So I don't necessarily think that they don't care about you. I just feel like they don't know how to show that other than through conflict. Like that's almost their love language. And that's a little toxic, It's not necessarily fair to you. This person's energy toward Capricorn. They're worried about this. They're worried about this. Now, at the same time, hang on, I want more on this 7. So 6 of Wands in reverse and 7 of Wands in reverse, but I want more. I want more on this message, specifically on the 7 of Wands in reverse. Six and 7 of Wands in reverse. 6 of Cups in reverse at the Death card. Ooh, okay. So, I feel like this person, possibly similar to you, Capricorn, has experienced... It's almost like, okay, it's like they've experienced endings to a lot of relationships that meant a lot to them. And because that's the case, they're afraid to open up. They're afraid to open up to you. And instead of talking through that and working through that and being honest and vulnerable, they do the complete opposite. And they do whatever they can to push you away. Now, they do that because they're afraid. It's not because, like, again, I don't get the energy that this person is a bad person at all. In fact, I feel like they want to be better than they are. But at the same time, I feel like they struggle to take accountability for the way that they hurt you because they're so focused on their pain. Now, they've brought in a lot of baggage from their past. That's the main thing here. They're carrying a lot from their past, and that could start with like parent relationships, friendships. It doesn't just have to be romantic. So, whatever they've brought into this connection, they're kind of taking it out on you. And I feel like that triggers you, obviously, as it would anybody, because you care about them and you want to love them and you want to help them through this and you want to be there for them. But I feel like they won't let you, in a way. And it's because they have this, like I said, like kind of baggage that they are carrying from their past with the 6 of Cups and this Death card here. So this person needs some therapy. That's what I'm seeing here. Not diagnosing anyone, but if that's the case, right? If any kind of time that someone's past is affecting them, their present energy, there's some need to kind of dive into that, right? This person's energy toward Capricorn. King of Swords. Ooh, okay. King of Wands, Queen of Wands in reverse. This person's very reactive. And I feel like they could be very intelligent as well. And so they might have a tendency to use that against you. Not use it against you, to use it in not so great ways. Like I feel like they're very reactive, and that's why they have a tendency to come off as a little bit manipulative. With this King of Cups in reverse. And it doesn't feel like, it just feels like they possibly have had to protect themselves a lot or have gotten burned a lot, and they are now putting that on you. Now you could be dealing, this is what I'm saying, like if you're like, that sounds like my energy but the rest doesn't, it's because you could be dealing with the same exact thing. And that's why you guys trigger each other so much, is because you both are dealing with this baggage from your past that's being brought up in your current connection. So keep that in mind, because remember, when we're feeling a trigger towards someone, that has way more to do with us than it does them. And it's trying to poke at something in us that needs to be healed and addressed. And if that's the same thing that this person is dealing with, that could very well be the case. All right, Capricorn, we are going to hop on over to the extended. I'm going to look at the truth of this connection. I'm going to pull 9 different messages, and then I have an advice card to pull at the end. Thank you so much, Capricorn, as always, for your support of my channel. It means the absolute world to me. I do hope that this reading resonated and helped you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing on your journey moving forward. Bye, Capricorn.